Welcome back to Don't Take My Word For It. We got a solo episode, but it's just the two of us. We don't have any guests today. We haven't actually recorded for like 2 weeks because last time we went to Nashville and we recorded 2 episodes. It's kind of spread it out.
Yeah, and our guest last week canceled on us last minute.
Bailed on us, flaked on us. That's how it usually goes.
That's how it goes.
Anything new happened this week?
Yeah.
I've heard people say, like lawyers say, that's how you're supposed to talk to cops. They're like, you know how fast you were going? You'd be like, yep. They didn't ask, like, how fast were you going? Because then you could incriminate yourself by saying you went faster than that. But you can say, yes, I did know how fast I was going. Do you? Because they can't really, I don't think they can, like, legally write you a ticket unless they have proof of you going faster than the speed limit.
I feel like that's just an opening conversation, though. Like, they know how fast you're going. They radared you, or else they wouldn't have pulled you over. So maybe. I don't feel like it matters what you say.
If they radared you, then they should know how fast you're going. Why are they asking?
Whenever you walk up to somebody's window and you have to say something to them, you're not gonna be like,
"How's it going?"
Not very good. You pulled me over.
License registration, please. Do you have insurance?
No.
Where are you going tonight?
None of your business.
These are all normal things that police say. You've probably been pulled over more than me.
A lot.
But it's all
cops have been nice to me, though.
Yeah.
Probably the rudest cop, and she really wasn't even rude.
Was the one that you got a speeding ticket whenever we went.
I don't remember if you were with us coming back from the lake that one day, and we passed by that sheriff, and my brake lights worked on the trailer, but the running lights didn't work.
I wasn't there, I don't think. What truck were you driving?
My old 2007 Chevy with the little boat, like a long time ago.
I only went on that boat one time.
Were you in the Navy then?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
Probably O'Reilly's. Your whenever you worked at O'Reilly's, your scheduling was
weird,
super weird.
Yeah, I only had like Tuesdays off or something, and they paid me $9.50 an hour, and I thought that was good.
Yeah, and you like went to work at like 11
and I got off at like 8 or 9 or something.
That is the worst schedule ever.
And I worked for $9.50 an hour. It sucks. And your mom still works there.
Not for $9.50 an hour. She ain't got that raise yet.
And then I went to weld after that, and I made more than double that. And even when I look back still, even if I was making what I made welding, I'd be like, this sucks.
What were you, 18?
It started at 18, and then it was like 22 or 23, I think, whenever I quit there.
Being in a union job, I figured it was higher than that, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it's good for a welding job that you don't have to go anywhere. There's no traveling. You can be home every single night, I worked one overtime shift the whole 2 years that I worked there.
Are you still paying union dues?
No, I never actually paid them when I was there. There was some kind of like mistake where $12 a week is supposed to come out or something, and it never came out of my pocket.
They're going to get you now.
Well, I never cashed in on any of them union benefits, so...
Like, what is a union benefit?
Like, I don't know, really. I don't know.
I don't know. People are always talking real good about unions, but I
don't. Good and bad. I'm sure they have their place, and
I don't really know anything about it.
Yeah, who knows about the economics of the workforce and the way people should be treated or shouldn't be treated, and the way businesses should be treated, and the way money should be treated. It sounds like a complicated socioeconomical issue. Say that 10 times fast.
I couldn't say it once.
Socioeconomic?
Yeah, I'd rather not even try it.
It's
socioeconomic.
Yeah, it's just like the study of like how people in society relates to money and the economy and how they like mesh together. Got me a iced Americano from Dunkin' Donuts today. What you
got? I took off my label because I wasn't trying to advertise for anybody. I have a red sugary drink that you can buy in most gas stations.
It's the hill. It's not a mountain. It's a hill. And it's a,
I was like,
it's a hill don't.
Yeah.
It's a valley don't.
It's one of those hill don'ts.
Yeah. That's disgusting, by the way.
Mountain Dew. I've been doing really well. I hadn't been drinking soda and been eating candy. And then the other day, I was like, ooh, those Starbursts look real good. And now, ever since I've got my sweet tooth back.
Dude, sweet desserts are the part that really gets me. Like, because I started, last Monday was when I decided I'm going to start a cut. And so the big problem is fat and carbs, and that's dessert right there, fat and carbs. But every time I go to the Alamo, the theater, they have the delicious salted caramel shake. And I go there only a few times a year, And so that's what I always want. So yesterday, I didn't eat any carbs or fat until I went to the movie theater. And then their shake machine was busted, so I didn't get one. But they had cookies there.
What movie did you say you went and saw?
Ant-Man.
How was it?
It was pretty good.
Was it?
Yeah, and it's really cool. They're setting up a big villain, just like Thanos, but like bigger. You
mean they're gonna repeat everything
but
they've already
it's
done?
Not the same. It's a multiverse thing, and you haven't seen some of the other like stuff that they've been doing lately. That is really cool. There's a really cool villain in it that, if you're nerdy, you know all about it.
I hate that because I love Marvel, but ever since they like started doing the TV show stuff,
see, you don't like it. Me and Morgan are watching the shows now, and she loves them too.
Like I've tried to get into them, and
it's because but you have the brain of a 10-year-old.
Hey, they're curious. They're learning very quickly.
You're not curious enough. See, my curiosity is even when I don't like the show. Because there have been Marvel shows that I didn't like, but I keep watching it because I know it's going to tie into later, and I'm curious about how they will tie in. That's why I watch it. There have been some of the Marvel shows I didn't like because of that, but I know that there will be details that will matter later on.
See, I don't even have a TV for that reason, because I know I'd sit around and watch it all day long.
I have a broken TV.
That's true. Yeah, your dog busted it.
Yep. We might have talked about that on the podcast.
Especially the She-Hulk. That I was like, I made it through one episode, and I was like, this is
but I know
terrible.
it'll have details that will tie in later.
Yeah, sure.
There was a show called Miss
America.
Miss Marvel, I think is what it was called. I can't remember. Miss Marvel, I think.
Oh.
It was about a girl who like got these superpowers. It was pretty cheesy. It was not that great, but I know it's gonna matter later on. So I watched it.
Even the new Thanos, or not the new Thanos movie, the Thor movie, it sucked.
Yeah, that did suck. But it'll have details that'll matter later on.
Notice how we're like, oh yeah,
this Ant-Man movie, I bet you liked it. It was good.
I mean, yeah, the movies are usually good.
Yeah, the Ant-Man one was good.
I mean, Thor was worth watching.
The new Guardians of the Galaxy is going to come out this year too, and I'm pretty excited for it. They kind of look like they're setting it up to be the end of the Guardians of the Galaxy, which it sucks, but it has to happen. People aren't going to keep playing the same character forever.
Yeah. Actually, ever since Iron Man died,
I know that's your problem.
Yeah, he's the coolest character by far.
And me and Morgan watched the Spider-Man that came out right after Endgame. So like the first where we got those glasses, Do you like that movie?
Oh, with Mysterio?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I watched that the other day.
It was okay.
That one was a little bit sad because it was kind of talking about how Spider-Man was coping with his mentor dying. He cried. Whatever. Anyways, you got a rental house now.
Couple
right next door.
Yeah.
It's not for rent though, because
not yet.
Actually, I just went in it for the first time. It's a mess.
Completely getting it all out.
Don't say anything that'll incriminate it when a future renter comes into it. If they see this episode.
It'll be all brand new.
Except for the house. Yeah, so that's something they talk about in the, which I know we've talked about before, that ship of Theseus problem, where or let's just imagine...
Oh, whenever you keep replacing
Yeah, like imagine you and I would take one cell at a time and swap them over and over again. And like at what point...
Do you change who is who?
Yeah, so a house, is it still the same house after you replace everything? And then, if you...
Well, it's not that much of a project. I fixed the floor and
it just made
a few walls.
I think it's more fun to think of deep philosophical questions than just like... Oh.
So like restoring an old house, how much of it is still the original house?
Yeah. And then if you took the pieces you took away from the house and assembled them somewhere else, is that the house or is the other one the house?
The house that you moved is still the house.
Interesting. But if you never did that and you just restored the house where it sits, is that still the house?
Yeah.
So, but that doesn't affect that.
I don't think it's the literal pieces and parts that make it valuable. It's the story behind it that makes it valuable.
Or like an old car, when somebody, like an old truck, when somebody takes it and they take it down to the body and it's nothing.
New motor, new trains.
The frame is taken off. Every hole new pieces are cut out and welded onto the body, and
it's the story behind it.
Yeah, but why can't you attach that story to another the same vehicle? You know what I mean? Why can't you just say, this is now this was my first car, even though it's not the exact same one, but neither is that one.
If you're asking where the line is, I don't know.
It's just
because you could just peel the VIN tag off of that car and throw it on.
But like internally, you would know it's not true. But you would feel like it's true if you restored it. You would still feel like it's the same car.
But if you're like at a car show or something, and then you go up to that car and there's a plaque saying, "This car was the very first car made," then and you believe that, then does it really matter?
Well, that's what I'm saying. But if you were to just take that into another model, another one of the same model, and said the same thing, you would know deep down it's not true. Even though they were both restored differently, all new parts.
I'm not saying
but
that's right.
We would still like internally feel like one is the real one and one isn't.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
The nature of existence is strange.
It all just depends who cares about it, I guess.
What makes people care about things? And what's the value of that?
Like being sentimental towards things?
Mm-hmm. Like a lot. There's a good argument that anything that exists for a purpose, like for a reason evolutionarily. You know, if you're thinking about natural selection, we think and act certain ways because they benefit us somehow. For the most part. Sometimes they're just leftover genetic mutations that didn't harm us, so they stick around. And then sometimes things crop up because it was beneficial somehow.
If you're going to go at it from that angle, I would say evolutionarily, you would place a feeling towards an object because, say, I touched this thorn bush and it hurt me, that I would associate pain with whatever object that was, so it makes sense to, if you had a good feeling, it had something to do with that object, you could relate that in your brain
there's
somehow.
Good feelings you have about things that don't seem to make sense. So, like, the example that just popped in my head is lots of people collect things, random things, right? Mm-hmm. Just they collect rocks or they collect cars. Or they collect, why is that? That's a really common behavior, you know, and why is that beneficial? Or how could it be
beneficial?
Yeah. Or in the past, 15,000 years ago. How is that beneficial?
I think you can come at that from several different angles too. You could say it's someone's net worth. Like, if I own all of these classic cars that are worth a certain amount of money, you could say it's like a savings account type deal. So it's a financial investment.
Maybe.
So that's kind of a reason for collecting something. The other reason is you like to tinker with that sort of item.
But why? Why do you like to do it? That's the problem. That's what I'm getting at, is why do we like it? Yeah, because the interest is something psychological that probably happens genetically.
I think it was Alex Hormozy that said this. He said, we like things we are good at.
But why? That's the problem. Like,
probably because it has something to do socially. That if you're good at something, you get status for being good at it.
And mankind survived because having social interactions and building communities propped everybody up, and that's why we've skyrocketed to the best species on Earth.
Are you trying to advertise towards or monkeys watching this or something like that?
I winked and I just realized I was wearing glasses. I couldn't tell. So that's going back to what you said about the your net worth thing. In that podcast, that Tom Bilyeu's podcast, he talked about something about there was like a shift, whether or not you want to believe in like religion, there was a shift from the time of Christ, quote unquote, where before that there wasn't a concept of like the individual being like a thing. It was all about like a family unit, you know. Families owned land. Individuals didn't buy and trade land.
How do we know that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Just bear with me. And then afterwards, there's a lot of Judeo-Christian ideology that talks about everybody's soul being equal and having equal merit, you know what I mean? And that gave rise to like the thought of individuality, and probably the rise to like the modern thought about how the economy works, because of people started thinking about themselves instead of just a family unit or a community unit.
You don't think we think like that today?
No. Wait, you don't think we think of the family unit?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think we're all about individuality.
Maybe here in the United States. But like over there, I don't know. I've never been over there. But you hear that like in Romania and stuff like that.
Romania?
Like,
I don't know anything about Romania.
The only reason I say that's because the Tate brothers, they say this kind of stuff in their TikToks and stuff. It's like, it's our family. Like,
well, where's his family?
His brother Tristan is and his parents. His dad's dead, but his mom and stuff. It's all like, it's their stuff. And his cameraman's his uncle or something like that. I don't know that much about it. Yeah, but it's like, they share everything. It's like, that's how we get all the nice stuff so soon. It's because everybody chips in and we buy a new car or something like that.
But the problem with like that I think of is it's easy to violate an individual person. What we think of as their rights is it's easy to not give an individual those rights when you think of it as it being part of the greater good or the greater community. So like that's how we think of it's crazy to look at places like China where they're more about the collective community rather than the individual. Mm-hmm. But they probably look at us the exact same way. But it's crazy to think of, from our point of view, that like one person's rights or life could be just steamrolled over if it's going to prop up the whole community. Yeah. Whereas from our point of view, we think the individual is the most important thing. Mm-hmm. Nobody's rights should be infringed upon for any reason, really.
It's a tough subject because honestly, if you look at it for the greater good of everybody, it's better to go with majority rules than
like just logically speaking. But I don't think.
No, I'm glad the government cannot come doze down my house because it's better to put a road here because they can, but they have to pay me for it. Like what's eminent domain? I think that's what it's called. But what's different about the United States versus China or something like that is the United States say they want to build a road, my house is right in the way. They have to convince me or pay me for the land versus China. They're just like, hey, this is going to be great for everybody. We're taking this over.
Well, who knows? Are you sure they don't pay them?
No.
Yeah. But then that's what I'm saying is China, people in China might not have the same idea about property ownership as we do.
True.
Like there are a lot of people that talk about like Native Americans before us thought about like that's part of the reason why we have had such a clash of cultures whenever we came here, because they didn't have the same idea about like individual ownership of like land and stuff as we do. They're like they didn't understand how somebody could like, this is the land that we all share and work with. It's not like you own this earth or something, which is a different concept that some cultures don't have. Which one's right and which one's wrong? Who knows?
Well,
it depends on what your goal is, right, probably.
I would say is what they thought. Why? But I don't think that way. I want to own a bunch of stuff.
And not even just owning things. I think that's just wrapped up in the whole idea of individualism, because it means you have free will and you have rights and you can do what you want to do. Mm-hmm. Your liberty can't be taken away because you are an individual that has. Whereas that way, each person doesn't matter as much, which I don't like the idea of that.
I don't know, but I don't know. It all depends on how you think about it, I guess. Because, like, if you did the I don't know if I'm going to use the right word. What's the socialism? If you use their way, and I don't know everything about it, so I'm not going to act like an expert. But if you use their way, the whole group of humans together probably is better off that way. But if you use the capitalism way, anybody can be who they want to be. Yeah. They just have to work.
Well, that's
I love that idea.
Yeah, but I think the root is you have to figure out what is the goal. Like, why do anything? Why is it important that the community has is propped up, and why is it important that an individual is propped up?
Yeah.
What are you trying to accomplish? And that's how you have to figure out what is the right option, really.
Yeah, for you and I, individually, living the best life is we get to work as hard as you can. You can get whatever you want.
But that might just be indoctrinated into because we grew up in a country where that is the way it is. True. Somebody in our somebody the same age in a country that is more focused on the community and instead they might think of they would easily die for the country if it's going to help, and I might think it's crazy to think of protesting against the government taking your house because it's going to help the greater good or something. And it's crazy to us to think of them taking away their rights like that or something,
It's rough. I don't know. Individually, I think you have a better life with capitalism and that kind of thing, and freedom. But it's I don't know. I kind of lost my train of thought on that. But it was it's more wasteful for sure.
Yeah,
because I can accumulate all of this stuff and it all just be mine, and then at the end of my life, it gets distributed to whoever else can collect it after that, versus everybody having a piece of it. But I don't know.
We all have a small piece of the pie of understanding, I think, about this. They're very complex ideas.
Oh, yeah, obviously. Yeah, they're huge. There's wars fought over this kind of thing.
Yeah. You need to listen to that podcast episode that I was talking about because
with Tom
Bilyeu and some other guy, just Tom, like you're on a first name basis.
Well, I was gonna say his last name, but I didn't know exactly what it was. It's either Blue or
Bilyeu, Bilye.
See, my pastor, whenever I was a kid, had the same last name, but it was Hosey Blue. That's what everybody called him.
Oh. Well, there's a guy. Remember when I got in the wreck and then I had to pull into the pitchfork place, and then he was a dick. And he called he called a tow truck, or no, he told me to call the tow truck guy, and it was Bilyeu Towing there in Ozark.
Yeah, I mean, I could see people saying that, but that's actually Hosey's family.
Oh. Well, then you were probably just saying it wrong because you were a child.
I don't think I ever
call up your dad right now and ask.
He said Blue. I know he said Blue,
How do you
but
know?
He's not.
When was the last time you heard that name?
8 months ago, because he's the commissioner in Christian County.
Oh.
So he did the zoning on my land. I've never heard him say it, and he could totally. I think my last name is Vibrock. Everybody else says Vibrock. It might be Vibrock. I don't know.
Well, how would you ever what is the right way to find that out? Where does that name even come from? Is it German?
It's German, yeah, some sort.
But what? How do you know what's the correct answer?
Well, you don't. I mean, you have basic laws of English, I guess.
But it's German, not English.
I don't know. Good point.
Well, English has Germanic roots. I mean, it has Germanic and Latin and Greek.
I don't think, does it matter? Because some people say pecans and some people say pecans.
I say pecans.
I say pecan.
I know. I don't know.
Pecan makes sense.
Well, I don't know. I know. I don't really know why I say pecan because everybody I know says pecan. It just feels wrong to say pecan.
Well, it's not spelled that way.
It is kind of.
It's A-N, not O-N.
There's plenty of A-Ns that make that sound.
Like what?
I'll think of one.
Can't is A-N.
But that's the difference between a long and a short vowel sound.
Oh, we don't need to
like
start talking about
goes like an O can make a oo sound or an ah sound, right? Or an I can make an I.
When does it make an ah sound?
Operation.
True.
True. Every vowel has a long and a short thing to it. Now I want to find one that makes a in, like a on. Awning. That's a W though. But yeah, if it has a W after it, awesome. It's not awesome, it's awesome. There we go.
What are we getting at here?
Pecan, you said it's not spelled that way. Where an O makes an aw sound. And awesome. is right.
I don't know. Guys, let us know in the comments. I don't know how you're going to let us know how to say it in the comments.
Well, every time you look up a definition, you look up the definition and then it has in the parentheses next to it the like weirdly written things with like the spaces in between it and the little...
Got like a guy peeing and then a can, like a Dr. Pepper can.
Are you thinking of like little pictures of that?
Yeah.
I'm talking about where it has like a split up with like the lines above it or whatever, and that tells you the right way to say it.
Yeah.
But now you can just Google things and it'll have a little button to say it out loud.
Yeah, but that was just somebody's opinion who put that in there.
That's true. But that's my point is how do you know what's correct? And what is correctness at its base, really? I think these are interesting questions to me. How do
you actually ever define anything?
I know you bring that up all the time, and for some reason it pisses me off.
Well,
because
I'm
like
always worried
words
about, like,
do have meaning, and you act like they don't.
No, I know words have meaning, but I'm always nervous of the legal system because like how you word things could put you in jail or something like that, and it's like how does the judge? Like, how you actually define a word, you know what I mean? Like,
well, that's
if
why,
you dig deep enough into it, you can't really define anything.
That's probably why we have judges, right? Because you could write out rules all day long with logic, but, like, we still are all humans, and a judge is also a human that's going to hopefully think about things the way a person does.
That's scary, then, because whoever's better at psychology wins the case.
Yeah, that is what law is. It's not about the truth, it's about what you can prove.
Well, no, it could also be emotional. Like, if you were a good lawyer, and you go in there and you make everyone feel sympathetic
your job is to prove to a jury and to a judge, really. That's all it is.
Which is just psychology. Like, if you're a good psychology major or whatever, you can totally change how people feel about something.
I would love to learn about the process of how judges are chosen to be judges. Like, how do we...
I think they're elected.
Really?
Most of them, I think.
That's a huge responsibility. Like how?
Oh, I couldn't do that.
No, what I'm saying is like it's a huge responsibility to make sure the person making these decisions is coming from the right mindset.
I don't think the judge actually makes the decision. You have a jury that way he doesn't. That way he can sleep well at night because the jury votes. Should we put this man to
but
prison
doesn't
for the
the
rest
judge
of his life?
to have to say one way or the other at
I don't
the
think
end?
so. I think it's a majority rule type deal. I think he's
then
just
what's
the guy.
Point of the judge? I'm pretty sure the judge rules.
I don't think so.
I think so.
Well, then what's the reason of having the jury?
I don't know. But what's the reason of having the judge?
I think the judge just kind of...
Well, if you couldn't tell, that was somebody knocking on the door, a guest for an episode that we were getting ready to record, because we're trying out a new format of a little bit shorter episodes, so we got quite a few of them we're recording back-to-back. We had to cut that one off a little bit, but don't worry, we got a lot of good stuff coming for you. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check us out on YouTube. We got a Patreon with exclusive and early access content, behind-the-scenes stuff. We also got Instagram. We got a lot of stuff on TikTok. And then we're everywhere you get your audio podcasts, like Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, all that stuff. So thanks for watching, guys.
Just kind of organizes everything. So, we're at 30 minutes anyway.
Okay.
So.
Thanks for watching. This is a short episode. Check us out on Patreon, Spotify, all the other things. Yeah.